Frigiero, a global DEI management consulting practice. I'm also a business and DEI leader and author of the recently published book, The Leaders You Need: How to Create Diverse Leadership Teams for a More Dynamic and Resilient Future. In this book, I provide a blueprint on how to align diversity, equity, and inclusion with business strategy. Frankly, it's a resource that is absolutely perfect for the current time. Now, we're here because diversity, equity, inclusion, equal opportunity, affirmative action work are affected by the president's executive orders, memoranda, proclamations, and even the speech last night. I've been speaking with board members, CEOs, leaders, employees, and while many are committed, they're actively evaluating their DEI work, not just for compliance, but also to improve effectiveness and ensure inclusion of everyone. On the other hand, others are retreating or canceling their efforts. We've seen the headline and the list. In fact, this newly published survey from the employment law firm Littler Mendelson was conducted in 2 waves, before and after the president's inauguration. It is a stark illustration of the outsized impact of the White House's broad crackdown on DEI. 347 C-suite executives were surveyed in December 2024. Then 340 executives were surveyed again in February of 2025. I'll read it for those who are in listening mode. Before January 2025, 38% of executives were looking at decreasing DEI commitments. As of February 2025, 53% of executives said that the president's anti-DEI policies will likely lead their organization to roll back DEI programs. 55% are now more worried about the risk of DEI-related lawsuits, government enforcement actions, and shareholder proposals. Additionally, fears are more widespread among federal contractors by 74%, public companies 67%, and large employers 65%. The most common change firms are making is to stop talking about DEI publicly. In fact, 61% of executives weighing whether to remove or reduce DEI-related language from websites, proxy statements, and/or outward-facing communications, and 70% for executives at federal contractors and public companies who are facing more regulatory pressure. Interestingly to me, 47% of executives said their DEI commitments remain the same or might even grow. For many, it's a business imperative. This is a defining moment for workplaces and for the CEOs who lead those companies. The question is, how should organizations approach DEI, equal opportunity, and affirmative action during this complicated time? I brought together an esteemed group of speakers to address many of your concerns, which you've shared with the over 160 questions that were submitted. We want to be partners with you as you traverse uncharted territory. And I'm pleased to welcome award-winning journalist Huber Walter, who is the executive director at the Fulcrum. He's also an editor, publisher, professor, and active board member. He'll share how we got here, the implications for different stakeholders, and what else we can expect from the current administration. Next is Paulette Brown, an attorney and past president of the American Bar Association and the National Bar Association. She's also held roles as general counsel and DEI leader and board member. She therefore has a broad and critical understanding of the risks to organization and what might be on the minds of many CEOs. She will unpack policy shifts, business implications, and mitigation risks. Now, I've been a DEI leader for over 25 years, and my success hinged then on the relationship I built with the communications team. It is one of the main reasons why I wanted our next speaker to be here. With over 4 decades in strategic communications, Peter Cunningham is a senior advisor for AVOC, specializing in messaging and strategy, media training, and crisis management. Peter works with public sectors, nonprofits, and corporate and political clients, including CEOs and elected officials. Our next guest, Juanita Rodriguez, an employment and compliance attorney, unfortunately could not be here today because of the case she's working on. However, she has offered to be available for a fireside chat yet to be scheduled, so be on the lookout for this. Rounding out our guests is Jennifer Brown, who is the founder of 2 companies, Jennifer Brown Consulting and Jennifer Brown Speaks. She's a speaker, a best-selling author of How to Be an Inclusive Leader. She will give the closing remarks. Now, while we have our area of expertise, collectively, we represent over 10 decades of for-profit and nonprofit experience. To maximize our speakers' time and hear as much as we can from them, I've asked them to provide their remarks covering the specific topics, and if possible, address some of your questions. Feel free again to drop your questions in the chat and we'll do our best to get to them. With that, I'll turn it over to Paulette.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Karen, and to all of my fellow panelists. I'm